everybody, and welcome to another edition of Out Today and What I Missed, right here on the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel. This time for March 6, 2026. This week we have 17 new albums to cover, with 8 that are out today, 9 that I missed along the way. Let's keep this one short and sweet. Let's get into it. First up today, we have Gravemass with This Is the Way, the debut album from this influential lineup featuring past and present members of Zimmer's Hole, Revocation, Tenet, and Just Cause. Is as heavy and as brutal as you would imagine it to be. The riffs hit in such an impactful way, blending the blackened death metal, thrash, and of course the subtle nods to Zimmer's Hole and Strappy on Lad all over the place. The production on this one packs a punch but still feels human, which is needed in songwriting like this to make sure that it feels all the more sinister in all the right ways. Gravemass is the kind of band that you spin and forget your troubles, as it sucks you in for all 10 tracks and almost 30 minutes in length. Then you will instantly start it back over because it is just that good. We need something like that now more than ever. Next up is Legionary with Never Ending Quest for Purpose. Another short and sweet one here with the third album and first in 12 years from this Peroxa outfit. 5 songs, a half hour long, and not a second is wasted. The production hits you hard and the songwriting on top hits you even harder. Between this duo, the band also gets Chris Clancy of Mutiny Within to contribute vocals on the entire album. It hits like the best of the more aggressive side of thrash and occasionally death metal, but it is also layered with so much melody and harmony on top, balancing everything out in a way that sounds so satisfying from beginning to end. If this sounds like a combination for you, I assure you that it is. Give this one a proper listen. Now we have Lost Sanctuary with Hell is a State of Mind. Finland's Lost Society is back with their 6th album, and I dare say it's their biggest departure from their original sound yet. While originally they were a straight-up thrash band, but with every subsequent album, the band has explored further and further in what is possible with their sound, and it is evolved into more modern metal, groove metal, and metalcore mixtures. While definitely won't be for everyone that checks out my list, it is for those who want something a little more conventional and mainstream in their metal, but much more unconventional and experimental at the same time. Imagine if Avenged Sevenfold's Life is But a Dream was a bit more comprehensible and a little more Murder Dolls and Wednesday 13-ish at different moments, and I think you'll start to get the idea. This is pushing the modern metal sound into different territories, and that can only be a good thing. Next up is Mega Colossus with Watch Out. Just a little over 2 years since their last album, this North Carolina band is back with their 5th album, and it is arguably their best. Combining what has always worked best with the band in their sound and still pushing the boundaries just enough. And of course their lyrical references make this an album that is simply fun for all 7 tracks and 44 minutes in length. This is also one of the more expanded albums in the back catalog, not in the number of songs, but in song lengths, with some of them being the longest in the band's history. Letting the songs tell their story to the best of their ability, but it's not overly drawn out. Mix all of that with a production that matches both the modern and vintage techniques perfectly, and this is exactly what revival metal sounds should call for time and time again. There's an argument that this is the best album of the style in 2026, and I'm eager to see if any band can top it for the rest of the year. Now we have Nefastis with Shadows at the Light of Dawn. The sophomore album and first in 12 years from this Italian band is a welcome change in sound for 2026, combining Melodeath, symphonic metal, thrash metal, and straight up death metal into a very catchy and groove-laden mix is not an easy thing to do and not make it sound like a hodgepodge of sound, but the band makes their vision quite striking and sophisticated. The production is more on the raw side, but nothing distracting, and the songwriting is a real feast of an album, hearing all the changes and how they interconnect. If you want a band that can channel Children of Bodom, Winter Sun, and Flesh God Apocalypse, see what Nefastis can offer for you. Now we have Tardigrade Inferno with Hush. The 3rd album from this left-of-center band is such an intriguing mix of dark cabaret music, mixed in with progressive metal and oddball moments to balance out the catchiness and the absurdity. The production on this one is insane and truly captures the nuances needed for a sound like this to pay off. There is no easy way to mix a sound that can remind you much of Devin Townsend, Stolen Babies, Unexpect, and Diablo Swing Orchestra, but that is what you get here and so much more. What I wouldn't give for Tardigrade Inferno and Stolen Babies to go on tour one day. But overall, this is the kind of album that is quirky, but it matches it with musical proficiency. If you dig that style, you will love Hush by Tardigrade Inferno. Next up is Temple of Void with The Crawl. The 5th album from Detroit's heaviest death doom band is another sign that the band continues to refine and improve with every release. So many people discovered the band from their 2022 release Summoning the Slayer, but the band has taken that sound and mixed it in more with what feels right in 2026 with The Crawl. This is a punishing album from start to finish, never truly letting up, though it does give you the occasional moment to breathe before crushing you all over again. Of course, you need a production style to match the songwriting to make these songs truly work work, and that's what's done here flawlessly. While I know Death Doom isn't everyone's bag due to the slow tempos, Tempo Void does mess with the tempos quite a bit on this one, and it doesn't just feel like one giant dirge. It's 7 distinct songs, almost 42 minutes in length, and it gets only more rewarding the more you listen to it. If you enjoy anything from Hooded Menace, Nightmare, to Woe, to Evoken, Temple of Void has something for you. And finally, for brand new stuff today, we have Vreid with The Skies Turn Black. The 10th album from the almighty Vreid is one of the most diverse albums in the Norwegian band's discography. For every song that reminds you of their signature blend of Meloblack, there's a song that goes completely shocking in comparison. Sometimes it can be a film score motif, sometimes it can be an industrial goth rock song featuring Party Boy in the video. Overall, it's an album that is not for the faint of heart. This is great to see it, a band that has been rolling for 22 years plus and still finding new ways in their songwriting and showing that there's no lack of inspiration going on. The album just keeps getting better and better the more you listen to it. While I know this won't be for every Vreid fan, this is for those that want to see the creative juice flow for the modern day, and that is a wonderful thing to see. And now for everything that I miss along the way, starting with the band Atlas with Sunder. The third album from this Finnish Northcore band combines elements of Orbit Culture, Gorgira, Hymn, and Catatonia, which feels like such an odd thing to say on paper, but when you listen to it, you can hear all of those elements and so much more. Of course, the music is fully layered in the modern metalcore sound, but it's those odd mixes of progressive metal, gothic metal, melodic doom, and more that makes the music stand out from the 2020s modern metalcore sound. The clean vocals are absolutely stunning, and the harsh vocals tear right into you. At 8 songs and almost 29 minutes in length, this is an album that doesn't waste a second and it goes right in for the kill at every possible chance. For anyone who ignores metalcore simply by association is truly missing out on Sunder by Atlas. This is a magnificent piece of metal. Next up is Domhain with Imperfect Stillness. The debut album from this UK band hits everything that I love about the combination of post-black and shoegaze. It knows how to balance out the most harsh and beautiful moments in perfect harmony, all while creating such a dark and captivating atmosphere. Of course, you need just raw enough production style to make this style worth in its full effect, and it takes full advantage of the tones they have created. This makes the most of its 5 tracks and 35 minutes in length to create a sound that should make anyone who enjoys the likes of Early Day Alcest, Agalok, Sayar, and even Early Day Woods Vipre very happy. In comparison to a lot of albums in this style, this is a short and sweet affair, but it's sure to have a lasting effect on you for years to come. Do not miss out on this one. Now we have Ennui with Oroba. For anyone who has known me over the past 15 years, you know that Doom is one of my favorite genres, and when it comes to the right kind of funeral Doom, I instantly fall in love with it. That's what happens here with the 5th album from this funeral Doom band, straight out of the country of Georgia. It hits everything that I expect of the genre, the dark, depressing dread, the slow tempos where every single note matters, and the lyrical content that makes this genre what it is today. The production is a little raw, but not overbearing, and on the right sound system, it's going to sound huge. This is easily for anyone who enjoys the likes of Helllight, Mesmer, and Evoken. What a better time to check out some of the most depressing music in the world than our current state of affairs. It feels so depressingly accurate. Next up is Ethereal Treason with All Is Vanity. The 3rd album in 2 years from this unidentified band, simply listed as sole member Animus. This is a band that feels like it's going off of bands such as Dayseeker and that dreaded Sleep Token at times, but there is enough of a difference. The music stays dark the entire time and knows when to transform from more alternative moments to poppier moments to crushing riffs. This is an album that, despite the subject matter, I can put on and relax and still get that heaviness factor thrown in for good measure. While I could proceed with caution on this one, if you're very much up in arms with the current mainstream heavy trends, for everyone else, this is more than worth your time, as it explores so much of what is possible with this style, and it gives you what you want on the heavy side. That's all I need to be happy. What about you? Now we have a band name and an album title that I know I'm going to get wrong. I'm going to try my best, but I apologize. Evig Not with Vakentimen. The 4th album and first in a decade from this Norwegian band is hitting that gothic death doom itch that I always need scratched. It's everything that I love about the genre and gives additional gut punches for good measure. Mixing the male growls and the female cleans is always a winning formula for me, and this is no exception. And when you mix into that sound that hits so much of what I love about bands like Draconian, Trail of Tears, Tears and early day Serenia, it just makes the dark soul that I have so happy. Also, the production on this one is top notch, which is not always common in this style. Overall, Gothic Death Doom is one of those genres you either love or hate, or you think is okay, but I've always been in love with it, and this is a shining example in the darkness as it is to the power, intensity, and emotional strength that it takes to make music like this. Spectacular work. Now we have Gledenfold with Soulbound. The fourth album from one of the very best bands in the Melodeath / power metal genre is back after 4 agonizing years to create what could be heralded as their best work to date. This meshes the heaviness and the extremes with the power metal melodies and harmonies perfectly. Neither side feels like it is fighting for presence, with excellent production and every single riff feeling like it matters and has purpose. This is the kind of album that I put on and remember why I love both genres so much and appreciate when a band like this can pull both off and it never sounds forced. While I completely understand if you only like one style or you really hate one of them, it probably won't be for you. This is for those that can appreciate what is displayed on both sides, and it only gets better as time rolls on. If you enjoy the likes of Winter Sun, Camelot, Children of Bodom, and Brimir, you need Gledenfold. Next up is Good Tiger with The Most Negative Day of the Year. The fourth album from this international band featuring past and present members of Tesseract, The Safety Fire, and The Faceless, though the drums on this album was performed by Matt Halpern of Periphery before Alex Rudinger joined the band. This is a tour de force of what progressive and alternative metal is all about. Despite the band's many backgrounds, there's no screams, growls, or anything extreme on this album. This is all about the music at hand, making it as melodic and catchy as possible within the prog aspect, and still having some left of center moments that will surely make your head turn. The production on this one is insane, along with the musicality on display. The music itself can go from ethereal to beautiful to downright heavy when called for, and it never feels like it's repeating itself. If you enjoy the likes of Sky Harbor, Circus Survive, and The Safety Fire, Good Tiger has put out one of the best albums of that progressive and alternative metal sound in 2026. Now we have Rosario with Northern Crusaders. The sophomore album from this Norwegian band is a tried and true take on the heavy metal / power metal variety. While using the power metal aspect as more of a flavoring, this is a pure heavy metal album through and through, hitting so much of what you expect from that classic sound, but updated just enough for effect. The production has this modern vintage feel to it. The drums in particular remind me so much of 80s Def Leppard, and the songwriting should be right at home for anyone who enjoys contemporary takes, like from bands such as Temple Balls, Black Swan, and Stargazer, all of whom I've reviewed in recent times. The classic sound of heavy metal is alive and well. Check out Rosario and see for yourself. And finally today, we have Spegloss with Endarkenment, Being, and Death. The debut album from the Swedish powerhouse hits a style that is meant for anyone who enjoys the left-of-center elements of bands like Tribulation, Chapel of Disease, and Floating. While it is a death metal album through and through, the elements of black metal, heavy metal, and other left-of-center moments are what make this album stand out amongst the rest. I love when a band can play what they want to play and they don't feel like they have to be pigeonholed into a box because of the normal style of a genre. Every song on here has its own texture and somehow stands out, but also fits together with everything else on the album. The production reminds me so much of that second era of Tribulation when they started embracing more of the black metal and gothic side, which is a cool thing to see. And the songwriting feels infinitely inspired. This is an album that feels real and it goes for the jugular. If you need that in your life, check this one out and be prepared for what they do in the future. And there you go, folks, all of the albums I'm covering for Out Today and What I Missed for March 6, 2026. 17 albums in total so far this month, and 130 that I've covered so far this year. So what do you think? Did I pick out some good stuff? Did I pick out some bad stuff? Anything that I missed? Anything that I should check out? Anything that you're gonna check out? Please let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, hype if you're on your phone if I feel worthy enough for it, and please make sure to come back next week as we tackle Out Today and What I Missed for March 13th, 2026. And until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Ronquist saying, embrace the skillet.